Hey guys, this is Salim here, and I welcome you all to this new series, that is NTSC preparation series. And this in this series, like, we will be first focusing on NTSC syllabus. Okay, so for NTSC syllabus, like, you can say some chapters from 9th standard will also be included, as well as the complete 10th standard syllabus will be there for your examination. So for the students who are like preparing for NTSC, this video will be helpful for you all. Okay, so don't forget to subscribe this channel. Okay, just do subscribe and click the notification symbol, so you will be getting my notification whenever I'm uploading videos. Okay, so today we'll be starting with cell, and I would like to say, like, this series will be completely in English. Okay, so this will be helpful for the students who are a non Hindi speaker or non native speakers, right? Okay, so for those students this will be very helpful. Okay, and in this chapter we will be covering as well as NEEP NCERT part, and also our NTSC based points as well. Okay, so fine, we'll start with this chapter. The first chapter is cell, the fundamental unit of life. Yes. Okay, so when we talk about a cell, first we have to get some introduction about cell, right? Okay, so what is cell? What is cell? When we talk about let's say we are talking about a table. Okay, let's say we are talking about a table. Okay, so when we ask a student like what this table is made up of, okay, and probably the student may say, okay, it is made up of atoms, right? Okay, any particle will be made up of atom, right? Okay, so when a non-living organism is made up of atom, most of the living organisms are all made up of cells. Okay, and you can say how the cells will be joined together and how the cells will be arranged. Okay, when you see a building, let's say we are seeing some building. Okay, so that buildings are all made up of a small bricks, right? Okay, it is all made up of a small bricks. So same like that, our human organism or any living organisms are also made up of cell bricks. Okay, a compartment like type of a small cells will be joined together, and it forms a structure for the organism, as well as it helps and function for the organism. That is why cell is called as structural and functional unit of life, and the study of cell is called as cytology, right? Okay, I'm just repeating, what is cell? Cell is a structural and functional unit of life. Okay, so these cells are responsible for giving a structure for an organism, as well as these cells are responsible for any functions which is done by those cells. Okay, and this is how it is called as structural and functional unit of life, right? When we talk about a historical account, okay, then that means like who founded this cell, who discovered this cell, and how it happens, all these things. Okay, first we have to know about the person who created microscope. Okay, the first person who invented microscope, because most of the cells are invisible, and that can be visible only through some instrument. Okay, and that instrument is nothing but a microscope. Okay, so first Zaris Janssen, okay, in 1590, he invented the first useful compound microscope. Okay, and with the help of that microscope, Robert Hooke is a scientist who discovered the cell. Okay, so you have to remember Robert Hooke, who discovered the cell, and he discovered a non-living cell. Remember this, he discovered a non-living cell. And where he found in the cork slices, he found in the bark of a tree. Let's say we are talking about a bark of a tree. This is the tree, and this will be the bark, right? Okay, over this bark of a tree, he saw some cork slices. Okay, and he found the slices was like in honeybee structure. Okay, it was arranged in a honeybee type of structure, and he gave each and every compartment as a name cell, right? Okay, in Latin word, compartments are called as cellula. In a Latin language, compartments are called as cellula, so he termed it as cell, right? Okay, this is how the term cell was arised. Okay, this findings was described in his book, which is Micrographia. He wrote a book. Okay, he's an author of a book, and that book name is Micrographia, where it is mentioned, right? Okay, and Anton van Leeuwenhoek, and another scientist who is greatly known as father of microbiology. Okay, why? Because he only gave a microscope, that is a biconcave microscope, which has a high efficiency of finding a smaller cells. Okay, and he is the person who observed the living cell like bacteria, protozoa, RBC, etc. Okay, so remember that Robert Hooke, he discovered the cell, and those cells are non-living cells. But Anton van Leeuwenhoek, he observed the living cells in bacteria, protozoa, and RBC with the help of a biconcave lens. Okay, biconcave lens. Okay, and that is the microscope which was discovered by Anton van Leeuwenhoek, and for later he was like well known. He was very famous for that microscope development, and he contributed a lot in cell biology, right? Okay, and based on all these things, the cell theory was proposed by two scientists. Okay, one is German scientist and another one is British scientist. Okay, so Schleiden and Schwann. So Schleiden is a botanist, whereas Schwann is a zoologist. Okay, so these two scientists, what he did, okay, they were like working on the structure. They were working on the structure of plant and animals. Okay, by the time they found like plants are all made up of cells as well as animals are all made up of cells. So they both joined together and they proposed a cell theory. Okay, and the next slide we'll be studying about what is that cell theory. I hope you all understood it, guys, right? We'll move to the next slide, right? Okay, what are all the postulates of cell theory? Okay, as we all know now, Schleiden and Schwann are the two scientists who gave cell theory. Okay, but what they explained, they said cells is the structural and functional unit of life. Am I right? Okay, so who said this? Schleiden and Schwann. Okay, so Schleiden and Schwann, they said cells are the structural and functional unit of life. Okay, but they forgot to say, or they are not able to say how the cell was produced, how the cell was first raised. Okay, they don't have any idea about that. Then by the time there was another scientist, okay, Rudolf Virchow. The scientist name is Rudolf Virchow, right? Okay, so this Rudolf Virchow, he is a scientist who gave a clear idea how a cell arises. Okay, he said all cells will arise from pre-existing cell. That means one cell will develop from already pre-existed cells. Okay, and in Latin it is known as omnis cellula e cellula. Okay, so remember this, in a Latin word, in a Latin language, Rudolf Virchow mentioned all cells arise from pre-existing cells. Okay, and later this theory was called as cell lineage theory, or it is also called as cell inheritance theory. Why it is cell inheritance theory? Next question. Okay, why? Because cells, okay, cells involved in structure, we know, yes, as well as it involved in function, that also we know. But these cells will be taken to the next generation. These cells will be taken to the next generation. That means from parents to daughters. Okay, from parents to daughters or son. Okay, their kids. Okay, so this thing was founded by Rudolf Virchow. Okay, so he said cells will arise from pre-existing cells, as well as the cells will also taken forward to the next generation. It will be supplied to the next generation, and that is how this theory was mentioned as cell inheritance theory. Inheritance means conversion, transfer of transfer of a character from one generation to another generation. That is called as inheritance, right? What is inheritance? Inheritance is a transfer of character. Inheritance is a transfer of character from one generation to another generation, right? And this was explained by Rudolf Virchow, and this is how the cell theory was postulated. Okay, so what are all the two main objectives of cell theory? Cell is a structural and functional unit of life, and cells will arise from pre-existing cell. But there is one very important point: viruses will not be included under this cell theory. Viruses are not included under this cell theory because virus lacks for cytoplasm. They does not have any cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is the base. Okay, so cytoplasm is the base of a cell. Okay, where the cell organelles will be bounded. Okay, all this thing I will explain in the further slides. Okay, just remember, where viruses are not involved in the cell theory. This cell theory will not be applicable for the viruses, and reason is it does not have a cytoplasm, or you can say it does not have a protoplasm. I hope you all understood postulates of cell theory, right? Next we'll move to what are all the types of cell. What are all the types of cell based on its number? Because you might have seen a smallest organism, or else like you would have seen a very big organism. Let's say like elephant is there, and also a small chick is there, right? Okay. Do you think like both organisms are going to have a same number of cells? No, obviously not. Okay. So based on the number of cells, the type of the cell, number of cells, the organisms are also getting classified. So what are all that? First one is prokaryote and the second one is eukaryote. Okay, prokaryote means the organisms which are in small in size. Okay, or this is also called as unicellular organ. Okay, it is also called as unicellular organism. Whereas eukaryotic cells, which is called as multicellular organism. Right? Okay, when an organism have one single cell, those organisms are called as unicellular or prokaryote. Okay, when an organism have many cells, okay, and those type of organisms are called multicell and eukaryote. Understood? Yes. Then here the unicellular organism, that is prokaryotic organisms, are smaller in size. Okay, what is the size of unicellular organism? 1 to 10 micrometer. Okay, this is 1 to 10 micrometer. Whereas for eukaryotic cell, it is bigger one, right? Okay, so the size will be large, that is 5 to 100 micrometer. Okay, and in prokaryotic cell, the nucleus is absent. Okay, nucleus is absent, but here nucleus is present. Okay, nucleus is considered as brain of the cell. Okay, so brain of the cell. So this nucleus only will be giving a command to the whole cell for a particular function. Okay, but here in prokaryotic cell, you can see there is no nucleus at all. Then who is going to command? No, there is no commanding. Okay, so most of the unicellular organisms will be like it is clumsy. Okay, it will not have any proper work. Okay, it will not doing its specific work like it is in your eukaryotic cell. You can say eukaryotic cells will be well organized cells. Okay, why? Because nucleus is there. Nucleus will help in commanding those organ or cell organelles, right? Next, since there is an absence of nucleus, okay, there will be one single chromosome will be present. Okay, so one single chromosome will be present, whereas here many chromosomes will be present. Okay, and nucleolus is also absent, whereas here it is present. And since there is no nuclear division, okay, since there is no nuclear cell membrane, okay, so here what happens? Membrane bound organelles are also absent. Remember this. So inside a prokaryote and inside a eukaryote. Okay, so eukaryote will be having a nucleus which is covered with a nuclear membrane. So this nucleus will be separated and it will give command to all other cell organelles. Right. So this is what happens in eukaryote. But in prokaryote, the nucleus does not have a cell wall. The nucleus does not have cell wall, which is it is separated. Okay, it is separated over the cytoplasm. So this nucleus is also dissolved inside the cytoplasm. So cell organelles will also be dissolved. There is no membrane bound cell organelles. But here you could see cell organelles are differentiated. Right? So here membrane bound cell organelles are present and here membrane bound cell organelles are absent. Right? And next, here the cell will divide. Okay, here the cell will divide, but this division will takes place with two types. One is fission and budding. Okay, fission means one cell will divide into one or two cells. Okay, one cells which divides into one or two cells. Or you can say budding means, okay, if you talk about an amoeba, let's say an amoeba we are able to see. Okay, sorry, no need to amoeba. Okay, so when we talk about budding, let's say we have an hydra. Okay, there is an organism called as hydra. So hydra, what it will do, it will first create a bud. Okay, it will create a bud, and later this bud will be increased. Okay, this bud will be increased to grow, and later this bud itself will be broke down and it will start growing into new organism. That is called as budding. Right? Okay, so here the cell division will occur based on fission and budding, whereas here cell division will be properly occurs. Okay, that is mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis means one cells which divide into two cells. Okay, by the time equal division will takes place, whereas in meiosis reductional division takes place. Remember this, in mitosis equal division takes place, right? And in meiosis reductional division takes place. Reductional division takes place. I will explain this when we are talking about cell division, right? Okay, so right now just remember, because we'll go step by step, no need to be in a hurry. Okay, so we have a lot of time, we'll do it properly, right? Okay. And examples of prokaryotes are BGA, blue-green algae, and PPLO, pneumonia-like organisms, right? Okay, so these are all the examples of prokaryote. And amoeba, you can say humans, plants, animals, okay, amoeba, paramecium. So whichever is having multi-cell, okay, whichever the body is made up of multi-cells, those organisms are classified under eukaryotic cell. Hope you all understood. We'll move to the next. Okay, now in the earlier side we saw the types of cell based on the numbers, and now we are going to talk about types of multicellular cell. Okay, so earlier in the slide we saw single cell, multi-cell. Okay, now we are going to see the types of multi-cell. Okay, we are going to talk about the types of multi-cell. What is multicellular cell? Multicellular cell is also called as eukaryotic cell, right? Okay, it is also called as eukaryotic cell. Okay, so what are the two types of eukaryotic cell? Animal cell and plant cell. So animal cell will be present in animal, plant cell will be present in plant. Okay, no more discussions, right? And next one, animal cell, which is smaller in size. Usually animal cells are very small in size comparing to plant cell. Okay, plant cells are usually larger in size. Okay, here in animal cell, the cell wall will be absent. Okay, for the protection of animal cell, there will be a wall. Okay, there will be a wall. Okay, and that wall will be absent in animal cell, whereas in plant cell that wall will be present. Then you can ask me, sir, then how animal cell will be protected? Animal cell will be protected with the help of cell membrane. Okay, instead of a cell wall, okay, this cell membrane will helps in protecting the animal cell. Okay, then you can ask me, so plant cell will do not have cell membrane? No, plant cell will have both cell wall. Plant cell will have both cell wall and cell membrane. Okay, so it has a double membrane. Okay, it has a double protective layer, you can say. Okay, plant cells will be having both cell wall and cell membrane. Okay, next we'll talk about plastid. Plastid, what is the role of plastid? Plastid is the place where the chlorophyll present. Plastid is the place where the chlorophyll present and where the photosynthesis takes place. Okay, do you think animal cells will be having plastid? No, exactly. Okay, animal cells does not have plant cells, but one organism is there which is called as euglena. Okay, euglena is an organism which have plastid. Okay, which have plastid, but usually it is also considered as animal, because when you talk about euglena, let's say euglena will be like this somehow. Okay, so euglena will be like this. So this euglena, it will be having a plastid. Okay, since it is having a plastid, in the daytime it will do photosynthesis and it will get food. Okay, but in night time the photosynthesis does not occur, right? By the time it will hunt and it will eat. So it is considered as a plant as well as animal. Euglena is considered as a plant as well as animal. Okay, so but still, since it is having a reproductive factor, life process, all this thing, mostly it is calculated under euglena. So we are talking about euglena, which is under animal cell. Don't confuse it. Okay, so plastids will not be present in animal cell, but except euglena, right? Here in plant cell, plastids are present. Obviously, the plant are producers. Plants are producers. They have to produce its own food, and that food will be produced by the photosynthesis. And photosynthesis will be takes place only when chlorophyll is there. Okay, and chlorophyll will be present only in plastid. That's it. Okay, so if my video is very fast, you can just slow down and see this. Okay, fine. And next one, here we have in animal cell, we have one single Golgi apparatus, okay, but which is very highly complex. We have one single Golgi apparatus, but which is very highly complex. That means it is well developed organelle. It is a well developed organelle. What is Golgi bodies? Golgi bodies is nothing but a cell organelle, a cell member. Okay, member of a cell. Okay, so this Golgi bodies is going to help in maturation, or you can say storage of protein or conversion of protein. So this type of so many things, so many functions it is doing. We'll study that when we are talking about Golgi apparatus. Okay, I don't want to make it clumsy, that's why. Okay, we'll go step by step. Okay, so in animal cell, presence of one single highly complex Golgi bodies, whereas in plant cell it will be having so many Golgi bodies. It will have so many Golgi bodies, and those Golgi bodies are called as dictyosomes. Remember this point. Okay, in plant cells dictyosomes will be present. What is dictyosomes? Number of Golgi bodies, simple, and number of Golgi bodies are called as dictyosomes. And next one, in animal cell, centrosomes and centrioles are present. What is centrosome? Centrosome which is present in between the chromosome. Centrosome which is present in between the chromosome. Okay, so what is chromosome? Chromosome is nothing but your DNA. Okay, so chromosome is made up of your DNA. DNA is nothing but gene. Okay, so animal cells will be having a centrosome. So this centrosome helps in assembling the chromosome. Okay, so to make an assembled arrangement. Okay, that will be done with the help of centrosome. And what is the role of centriole then? Centriole helps in cell division. Centriole helps in cell division, right? It helps in cell division. Okay, but in plant cell both are absent. Centriome is also absent, as well as centrioles are also absent. Okay, but DNA is there. Okay, don't forget it. Okay, it has DNA. Centrosomes are not absent, right? Okay, and in cell, in plant cell, instead of centriole there will be a cell plate. Okay, there will be a cell plate formation for cell division. Cell plate formation for cell division, right? Okay, you can ask me, sir, if centriole is not there in plant cell, then how as the plant cell will divide? Okay, it will divide with the help of cell plate formation. Okay, I will explain what is that bit later, right? Okay, so this is what a basic thing you should understand about animal cell and plant cell. Okay, you can see here in this diagram, nucleus is there, right? Sorry, nucleus is there. Inside nucleolus is there. Inside nucleolus only you can see the chromosome. Okay, and here you see, here also we can able to see nucleolus, nucleus, everything is there. Okay, and this part, the cell is filled with cytoplasm, the base layer. Okay, and here also the cytoplasm is present. Okay, so cytoplasm is the base layer which is filled, where the cell organelles will be present. What are all those cell organelles? You can say endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, Golgi bodies, mitochondria, vacuoles, lysosomes, all are cell organelles, cell members. Okay, whereas here also you can see Golgi bodies, chloroplast, vacuole, mitochondria, ribosome, all these are cell organelles. Okay, then you can see here in animal cell only cell membrane is present. In animal cell only cell membrane is present, whereas in plant cell, cell membrane and cell wall both are present. Whereas in plant cell, cell wall and cell membrane both are present. Is it clear? Fine. I'm moving to the next slide, right? Now we'll talk about the structure of cell. Okay, so till now we are talking about cell. Okay, let's see how the cell shape will be. Let's see what are all the numbers of cell. Okay, let's see what is the size of a cell. Okay, so this flowchart will help you maximum, okay, to get all sort of information. I'm damn sure about it, right? Okay, so cell shape, when we talk about a cell shape, okay, cell shapes will be variable. Okay, so cell shapes will be differ. The shape of the cell will differ according to the organism, So what are all those variable shapes? In WBC we have multiple different types of shapes. Okay, so WBC is nothing but white blood cells which is present in your blood. Okay, so those WBC cells will be having different cell shapes. Okay, and amoeba is a cell, but you could see a cell is not, the amoeba cell shape is not fixed, right? It is not fixed, it will be keep on changing. So that is what the cell shape will be changed. So this WBC and amoeba are the organisms which shows, or the cells which shows a variable shape. That means there is no fixed shape. Okay, there is no fixed shape for those organisms. Okay, and those cells. Okay, when we talk about fixed shape, animals and plant cells will have a fixed shape. Why? Because they have cell membrane as well as cell wall. Okay, so cell may be diverse in shape. What are all that? It may be polyhedral. Polyhedral means it may be in multiple sites. Okay, the cell sites, the number of sites which is present in the cells will be different. Okay, 8 sites, 4 sites, 12 sites, like this it will be different. Okay, and some cells are spherical in shape. If you say egg is a cell, right? Okay, and those cells are spherical in shape. Okay, and next one is spindle shape. Spindle shape you can say like this. Your muscle, okay, you could see your muscles, right? In your you can see muscles which is produced in your arms, in your elbow, right? Okay, and those are all called as spindle shape. Okay, so this is how somehow like this it will be somehow like this, right? Okay, so this is how the spindle shape muscle cells will be. And last one is elongated nerve cell. Elongated nerve cell, I hope everybody would have seen this. Okay, this is how your nerve cells will be, right? It is an elongated cell, right? So cell body will be there and axon will be there, all this. So this is the nerve cell. Okay, so what is the role of nerve cell? Nerve cell will help in conducting information throughout your body. So whatever you think, that will be done, right? Okay, if you want to slap a guy, that means your hand is sending a signal to your brain and the brain will say command, okay, you can beat this guy, right? Okay, and that is how the nerve cell is going to work. Okay, that helps in transferring information. Okay, and the spindle shaped smooth muscles which helps in muscle contraction. Okay, and eggs are the normal egg cells. Okay, and polyhedral sides of the cell. Okay, when we talk about size of the cell, okay, most of the plant cells are, sorry, most of the cells are not visible. Okay, they are not visible to naked eyes. Okay, they are not visible to naked eyes, right? Okay, so for that we need an instrument called as microscope. Okay, then we have to know what is the size of those organisms. If it is not that, if it is that invisible, then how much will be the size of those organisms? Let's say a prokaryotic cell will be having 1 to 10 micrometer size. Okay, prokaryote is unicellular, the smallest organism, right? Prokaryote is unicellular, which have 1 to 10 micrometer size. Okay, when we talk about eukaryotic cell, it has 10 to 100 micrometer. Okay, so 10 to 100 micrometer is the size of the eukaryotic cell. And amoeba, which comes under eukaryotic, okay, amoeba proteus, which has 0.5 micrometer, millimeter it is, okay, 0.5 millimeter. And the smallest cell is Mycoplasma lydlavil. Okay, the complete name of Mycoplasma is Mycoplasma lydlavil. Okay, and it is also called as PPLO, pleuropneumonia like organism, and the size of that smallest cell is 0.1 micrometer. Remember this is very important. Size of the smallest cell is 0.1 micrometer. Size of the prokaryote is 1 to 10 micrometer. Size of the eukaryote is 10 to 100 micrometer. And size of amoeba is 0.5 millimeter. And the largest cell is ostrich egg. Longest cell, our nerve cell is considered as longest cell, right? So these are all the size factors of cell. Coming back to the numbers of cell. Okay, so based on the numbers of cells, already we said, based on the number of cells, we are dividing the organism into two types. What is that? Unicellular and multicellular. If it is unicellular, one single cell provide the whole body. Okay, one single cell provide the whole body. Whereas in multicellular organism, human body will be like multiple cells will form a whole body. Multiple cells together form as a whole body. For example, when we talk about a total number of cells present in our human body, okay, it is around 100 trillion. 100 trillion is nothing but 10 power 14. Okay, that means after 10 you are going to get 14 numbers. Okay, that many cells are present in your human body, right? So this is all about your cell shape, cell size, and cell number. Hope you all understood, right? Next we'll move to the components of cell. Okay, components of cell. So that means components are nothing but members of cell. Okay, we'll make it in an easier way. Members of cell. Okay, members of cell. Okay, so when we talk about a cell will be having a living part as well as a non-living part. Okay, what are all the living part? Plasma membrane is a living part. Plasma membrane, or it is also called a cell membrane. Okay, cell membrane is a living part. How it is a living part, I will explain you a bit later. Okay, and when we talk about non-living, cell wall is the non-living part. Okay, non-living part of the or cell. Okay, that is why it is hard. It is the hardest layer of the cell, and this cell wall is usually it is made up of cellulose. We know where the cell wall will be present. It will be present in plant. Okay, so plant cell wall are mostly made up of cellulose, right? Okay, then when we come to other non-living part of cells, vacuoles are there where the food will be stored in plants, and some cell inclusions are also there, okay, which will not be carried forward to the next generation. That will be maintained inside without any active function. Okay, they will not have any active function, but just like that they will be there. Okay, so don't worry about them. Okay, then when we talk about a living part of cell, all cell bounded organelles, these are all called as organelles. These are all called as cell organelles. Okay, so these cell organelles are mostly they are living part of the cell, and all this living part of the cells will be present in a base called as cytoplasm. What is cytoplasm? It is a matrix fluid. It is a matrix fluid. That means matrix means it is a semi-solid. Okay, it is a semi-solid. That means some slightly jelly type of. You can make it very sure. It is a jelly type of fluid. Okay, a jelly type of fluid which will be present all over the cell. Okay, and where the cell organelles will be bounded. Okay, if you see a cell is there, the whole cell is filled with, let's say I'm drawing yellow color is our cytoplasm. Okay, the whole cell is filled with a cytoplasm. Over that you can see cell organelles will be bounded, and those cell organelles are all living cells, right? Then what are all those living part? Endoplasmic reticulum, mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, ribosome, lysosome, centriole, plastid. So we are going to study everything in detail, right? Don't worry. Next, okay, so we'll start with some living type of organelles. Okay, living part of the cell. First, what is the living part of the cell? Plasma membrane is considered as the living part of the cell. So already I said this plasma membrane was also called as, it is also called as cell membrane. Am I right? Okay, so this cell membrane will be present in both plants and animal cells. Yes. Now come who let's see who discovered this plasma membrane, who discovered cell membrane. This is all what we have to study for your NTSC, right? So cell surface of all cells are covered. Cell surface of all cells are covered by a living membrane which is called cell membrane. And who invented, who gave this cell membrane term? Okay, they two scientists, Nageli and Kramer. Nageli and Kramer, they gave this term cell membrane. Okay, and this they are the two person who discovered the cell membrane. Okay, fine. And then the plasma membrane is also called as plasmolemma. Plasma membrane is also called as plasmolemma, and it was discovered by, and the term was given by Flower. The term was given by Flower. No need to worry about the years. Okay, just remember the names of it. Okay, then as I already said, plasma membrane will be present in both plant cell and animal cells, right? And these plasma membrane are living. They are mostly thin and they are very soft, delicate. Okay, delicate means very soft. Okay, and they have elasticity also. They have elasticity. Elasticity means flexibility. Okay, they show flexibility, and as well as they are selectively permeable. Selectively permeable means, let's say a cell is there. Okay, so many different molecules are waiting outside to enter into the cell. But this cell membrane, what it will do, it will allow only selectively. It will allow selectively. Okay, some VAP types. Okay, so it will allow only the VAPs. Okay, and who are all those VAPs? We'll see. Okay, so this is like a story. Fine. Okay, so last one, this plasma membrane helps in separating the content of the cell content. It helps in separating the cell content from the surrounding medium. Let's say this cell is filled with cytoplasm, right? Okay, the cell is filled with cytoplasm, and this cytoplasm will never go out of this cell membrane. Okay, so that is how the plasma membrane helps in holding the cell content within the cell. Okay, and it will not allow to spread it out to the surrounding medium. So that is the role of plasma membrane. Hope you all understood. Next one, what is so this plasma membrane was given with a new model. Okay, this plasma membrane was given with a new model, and that model name is called as fluid mosaic model. Very, 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 very important. Okay, even you guys, I'm saying, if you learn this properly, even in your 11th standard, when you are going for a biology group, that time you guys will be dominating in your class. Okay, you will be highlighting in your class, okay, by answering everything fatafat like that. Okay, so fluid mosaic model. Okay, so this was given by a scientist name called as Singer-Nicolson. Okay, he gave this fluid mosaic model. Okay, and what he explained about the fluid mosaic model, he said the cell will be covered with cell membrane. Am I right? Yes. And those cell membrane are having a fluid mosaic like model. It is having the arrangement of the plasma membrane, or the arrangement of the cell membrane is like a fluid. Okay, fluid which is arranged in a mosaic model, which is arranged in a colorful model. Okay, so what is that? Let's say this is the outer, this is the membrane. Okay, this is your membrane. Okay, and these membranes are made up of phospholipids, phospholipid layer. You can see one head, one tail. Am I right? And one head and one tail. So this is how it is arranged: one head, one tail, one head, one tail, like that, right? Okay, so this head and tail region, so if you see one head and one tail, so this is called as one lipid. Okay, this is the structure of one lipid. Okay, and this membrane is covered with bilayers. Okay, this lipid is covered with bilayers, right? Two layer of lipids. Okay, so usually this head region will be towards the fluid part, whereas the tail region will be away from the fluid part. Okay, so that is how the lipid will be arranged. Okay, so this lipid helps in strengthening. You can say this lipid helps in strength. Okay, it will give a strength for the whole cell. Okay, it will give a strength for the whole cell, right? Okay, and it also have some proteins. You can see two types of proteins will be there: peripheral protein and integral protein. Peripheral protein means periphery. What is periphery? Periphery means your sides. Okay, side. Okay, if you are sitting in the center of the room, okay, you can see the sides, corners of your rooms, right? And those are called as periphery. Same like that, proteins will also be arranged in a periphery. Okay, some integral proteins will be there, which will be penetrated inside the layers. Okay, inside the layers of the lipid. Okay, that is called as integral protein and peripheral protein. So remember, two types of proteins are there. One is integral protein and another one is peripheral protein. Okay, so two types of proteins are there. Remember, okay, and these are all arranged in a mosaic model. You can see a membrane is also there, a membrane. So this is a membrane, right? So this membrane, through this membrane only, I said now some VIP will come in and go. Okay, those VIPs can come only through this membrane. Those VIPs can come only through this membranes. Okay, and this plasma membrane will allow only those VIPs through this membrane. So that is why this plasma membrane is also called as selectively permeable. It is called as selectively permeable, right? Hope you all understood. Fine. Okay, so these proteins are all made up of carbohydrates, okay, and some glucose. Okay, no need to worry about these things. Just will go whatever is required for you all. Okay, so this is what the fluid mosaic model. Am I sure with that, right? So fluid mosaic model given by Singer-Nicolson, and it composed of phospholipid layer and proteins, which is arranged in a mosaic model. Okay, it is arranged in a mosaic model, and this fluid mosaic model, this plasma membrane will allow only selective materials inside the cell. Fine, that's it. Okay, so what are the functions? It regulates the movement of molecule inside and outside. Let's say a cell membrane is there, so it will allow the molecule to come inside and outside. And what is this? This is a membrane protein. This is a membrane channel. Okay, membrane channel or membrane protein. Okay, through this only the materials will come inside and go outside. And what are those materials? Okay, if a material is a molecule, or ion or a liquid or gas or solid, okay, and those are, if the, let's say like a cell is there, okay, let's say a cell is there, and inside some molecules, liquids, molecules of the liquid, okay, gases and solid, if they are coming inside our cell, okay, let's say here it is filled, let me say here it is filled with molecules, and this yellow part I'm mentioning here as a liquid Here I'm mentioning as liquid, gas or solid. Okay, here you can see outside the cell, the concentration of this liquid, gas and solid, it is all very high. But whereas inside the cell, the concentration is very low. Okay, so what happened? The higher concentration will move inside lower concentration, and that process is called as diffusion. And that process is called as diffusion, right? Diffusion is molecules of ion, liquid, molecules of liquid, gases and solids which move from high concentration to low concentration. That is called diffusion. Okay, so through the plasma membrane only this diffusion is going to happen. There is another one process called as osmosis. Okay, it is nothing different. Okay, very simple. It is a special type of diffusion. It is a special type of diffusion which allows only liquid medium, which will occurs only in the liquid medium. That means it will allow only the liquid. Okay, gas and solid will not be allowed in this process. Okay, if only water is received, from high concentration to low concentration, then the process is called as osmosis. Other than liquid, if other molecules, if other gases, if other solid substances are moving from high concentration to low concentration, then it is called as diffusion. Remember this, don't confuse it. Diffusion is nothing but conversion of, or you can say transfer of, molecules of liquids, molecules or gases or solids from high concentration to low concentration. That is called diffusion. Osmosis is a special type of diffusion which is going to transfer liquid, that is water, from higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, so if it is in case of plants, okay, there is, the cell will be filled with cell sap. Okay, that is nothing but your cytoplasm. Okay, the cell will be filled with cell sap, which is a high concentration than the water. Usually it is high concentration than the water. So usually here what happened, instead of diffusion, most of the time here osmosis only will take place. Okay, so from inward movement, okay, if it is an inward movement, that means the water moves from outside to inside the cell, then it is called as endoosmosis. So the plant cell will swells. Okay, so the plant cell will swell. Okay, swell means inflamed. Okay, swollen. Okay, and exoosmosis means outward. Exoosmosis means outward movement. Okay, that means if the plant cell is filled with water and high concentration present inside a plant cell, and those high concentration will move to the lower concentration. Okay, and that is called as exoosmosis. Hope you all understood this, right? So last one is cell wall. So cell membrane we completed, and now we are going to start talking about cell wall. With this I am completing today's session. Okay, cell wall is the rigid layer. Already I said rigid means very tough. Okay, very strong or tough. So this cell wall will be present in plants. Okay, over the plasma membrane. Let's say a plant cell is there. Okay, plant cell will be covered with a cell membrane, and over that it will be having a cell wall. Right, so this is how it will be. Right, it has a cell wall, and these cell walls are made up of fibrous polysaccharide. Polysaccharide is nothing but carbohydrate. Okay, multiple carbohydrates will join together and form polysaccharide. Okay, they are fibrous in nature. Since it is fibrous, they are very strong and thick. Okay, and those fibrous polysaccharide are called as cellulose. Right, you can see here, see, this is your plasma membrane. So this part is your plasma membrane. You can see, right, a head part will be there and a tail part, head part and tail part, right? So that is your plasma membrane, and over plasma membrane some hemicellulose or pectin or microfibril are all present. So these are all the components of the cell wall. Okay, these are all the components of the cell wall, and over that cell wall will be present. Okay, so this cellulose is made up of, the cell wall is made up of, cellulose is made up of pectin. Pectin is a type of protein. And as well as it is made up of hemicellulose. Right? Okay, as well as it also have a fibrous protein which is called as microfibril. Remember, fine. So cell wall is present in a plant which is rigid and which will present over the plasma membrane, and it is made up of made up of pectin, protein, hemicellulose, and as well as microfibril. And those all over the composition is called as cellulose. So this cellulose will be present in the plants. Fine, guys. Hope you all understood this and you would have enjoyed my session. Right? If you have any doubts, just drop your comments, okay, in the comment box, and please do subscribe this channel so you will be receiving the notification daily. Okay, and I would like to mention you, like, just do sharing this video so like you students, everyone will get utilized by that. Right? Okay, fine. So with that, I'm winding that today's session. So we'll move to the next session with the components of cell. Okay, components of cell. Fine, guys. Thank you so much. Bye.